Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode I'm discussing the 5th overall entry into the Halloween movie franchise, the 1989 slasher Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, as directed by Dominique Othenin-Girard. I believe that's the words. I hope I'm saying them right. Apologies if not. The film directly continues from the events of the 4th movie in the franchise, 1988's Halloween 4. In fact, hot off the heels of that movie, The Return of Michael Myers, and sees the series' main antagonist, serial killer Michael Myers, as played by Don Shanks, barely survive being gunned down by police at the end of that aforementioned movie, escaping down into an old mineshaft and being nursed back to health by an elderly hermit who finds his body washed up in a nearby creek. A year later, after repaying the hermit in kind, as Michael would by snapping his neck, Michael sets off once again back to Haddonfield, the scene of all his misadventures so far, on the hunt for his last remaining relative, his niece, Jamie Lloyd, as played by Danielle Harris, who has been committed to a children's clinic, rendered mute and traumatised by the events that transpired during Michael's last visit. In his relentless pursuit of Jamie, he happens to come across some of Jamie's sister's friends as they plan to attend a Halloween party later that evening, unaware of the terror and the horror stalking them at every turn. Needless to say, throwing a Halloween party in Haddonfield is never a very good idea at the best of times. Never mind one Michael was never actually invited to. He's going to take that personally and indeed sets upon the town once again to seek his revenge. So, this entry into the franchise is notable for the introduction of a more supernatural element. Michael Myers seemingly belongs to some sort of club, although this isn't kind of made clear here. And it seems that there is a new player in town, a mysterious dark stranger who appears at various events and locations in Haddonfield, retracing Michael's footsteps for some unknown and presumably sinister purpose. But again, we never actually find out what his purpose is for the main bulk of the movie. He really does just kind of pop up here and now, every now and again. Perhaps he was just searching for his delivery of Halloween masks from the Silver Shamrock novelties that never actually turned up. Jamie now has a psychic link to Michael, which comes as a bit of a surprise. This wasn't present in the last movie, but is now a prevalent kind of part of the story here. Jamie can now feel each time Michael is revving up for his next kill. And although Harris gives an excellently believable performance, sadly, the new kind of supernatural slant is hard to it's a hard pill to swallow. Michael may be superhuman, but the one thing that set him apart from the other icons of his time was that he wasn't supernatural, not up to this point. He technically wasn't immortal, just a tough nut to crack, you know what I mean? It feels too much like jumping on the bandwagon to me. Jamie's psychic abilities, for instance, are reminiscent a little too close to those seen in the 1988 movie Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, which also features a more supernatural connection and indeed somebody with telekinetic abilities. Not exactly the same, but it's not hard to see what they were thinking, you know, for Halloween here. What started off life as a trailblazing franchise is now reduced to being a sideshow attraction. It would certainly make a great case for Mulder and Scully. The direction is simply choppy at best. The film feels rushed and cobbled together, more like a hobbled in some places. Everybody seems to be off doing their own thing, like they were scripted into several different movies and not really knowing which one they were placed. The usually impeccable Donald Pleasence, while giving us probably one of his most terrifying visions of Loomis we have seen to date, and that is saying something, overcooks absolutely everything and comes across way too creepy. That much it's cringe-worthy. By the time he'd finished with Jamie, I'd have had him shopped for child abuse. I understand the man's passion, Buddy's regard for others, especially Jamie in this instalment, is next to non-existent. He even goes as far as snatching Jamie to use her for a bait. The film also seeks to humanise Michael. He's now just a big softy at heart, you know, just a misunderstood soul, with family issues and a murderous streak. Needless to say that it's not a tact that works. And for me, that's not really in keeping with the whole mantra that's been built for Michael, you know? Loomis trying to reason with him in this time, as opposed to claiming him to be the evil incarnate, which is distinctly at odds with everything we have come to know so far. Most of the time, Michael just seems to be cruising the streets of Haddonfield, chilled, laid back, and just looking for a good time. He almost gets lucky too. Never mind the night he came home, this Michael's out on the town. This time around, rather than being a menacingly evil presence, Michael ends up being more akin to a peeping Tom, or a gangbanger, for what it's worth, with no real sense of horror, suspense, or even urgency. And don't get me started on his mask, hilariously flopping all over the place. Has to be one of the worst he's picked up so far. Obviously a knockoff Silver Shamrock imitation. Most of the movie is total schlock when all's said and done. Strong characters are disposed in preference for more generic, run-of-the-mill teen horror tropes. Characters seemingly appear with no backstory, rationale or resonance, and we're expected to take it on face value that they're meant to be an integral part of the plot. We even have at least 2 moments where we are treated to some Laurel and Hardy-esque police work, even coming complete with its own clown music. Yep, clown music. Words can't describe how absolutely absurd this actually was. I appreciate a good horror comedy, don't get me wrong, but this was absolutely puerile, coming completely out of nowhere and completely out of touch with the tone of the rest of the movie. However, the film has one significantly redeeming feature, that being Danielle Harris's portrayal of Jamie Lloyd. This being her second time in the role, and she really feels like she's come into her own. And we even get a pretty involved and fearsome chase towards the end, that considering she's on her own against Michael for most of it, she really does give him a gut-wrenching run for his money. She simply sells the terror at this point, if nothing else, and presents what really stands out as a grueling ordeal with a true sense of urgency and suspense, giving it everything she has with absolute determination to survive. Overall, it's a clumsy mess of a movie that's just really a dolly mixture of ideas and themes that are never really played out, explained or justified. Playing fast and loose with the ideas presented within the franchise and offering a strange mix of the supernatural and the occult for no real sense of gain at this time. There's definitely been a notable dip in production values and the forethought for the franchise as a whole. A can't be bothered attitude akin to the residents of Haddonfield springs to mind. You can really feel just what a rush job this actually was. A total hack job. Harris really sells it once again and has an absolutely epic chase scene with Michael. Considering her age, that one scene alone puts her as a scream queen for me. It was relentless at times and quite hard going. The movie's one really true redeeming feature in my eyes. Otherwise, it really is a testament to a bunch of stupid people doing a bunch of stupid stuff both in front and behind the cameras. There's no real reason for its existence. It's never justified, instead bringing us a generic run-of-the-mill slasher with no real substance or direction. Totally aimless at times. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions and other movie related content. Absolutely loved having you at SciFirst MovieTalk and definitely love to have you back. Most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.